Well, I guess now is the time to pull out my Zootopia collection. Hi everyone and welcome to another video. I've been catching up on the recent releases that I haven't watched yet because I got really busy. And next on my watch list is Zootopia 2. So I watched it on the weekend in IMAX because I got a student discount. I enjoyed the movie, but I do have thoughts because I just like yapping. So I wanted to yap. This video isn't necessarily a review. It's more of a thought dump more than anything, so I hope you guys still enjoy it. Spoilers warning for Zootopia and Zootopia 2. I really like the first Zootopia. It's one of those movies that managed to strike a good balance between comedy and character development as well as social commentary, and I love that. I think why I really like the movie as well is because I don't really know what to expect from the first movie. With all of those anthropomorphic animal movies, they're entertaining and I expected that I would at least be mildly entertained by Zootopia, but I walked away really impressed. Mostly because I thought the movie was really profound and I didn't expect it to have something really profound to say about discrimination and me being Asian. It resonates with me. And in general too, I like it when art has something to say. I mean, that is what art is. Art has to have something to say. But let's not lie to ourselves. There are a lot of movies and TV shows that are produced for the sake of being produced and they don't really have anything to say. I'm looking at you, Emoji Movie. As much as films and stories in general are escapism for me, I want to walk away after watching a movie or reading a story, thinking about it. I want it to get stuck in my head. Whether I have further questions or I feel rebuked by the things I am confronted with within the story. If I'm feeling particularly adventurous, I also like watching or reading stories that make me question my existence. Nothing like a good existential dread, guys. Right. Back to the point, the first Zootopia managed to entertain me and also make me think, and for that reason, I really like the first movie. I wouldn't say I'm super excited about Zootopia 2 though. I wanted to temper my expectations because sequels tend to not be as good as the first installment. I also had this feeling within myself that the first Zootopia might be a lightning in a bottle. It had all these ingredients that make the movie good and my expectations were not as high, so it went above and beyond my expectations. But I still stand by my opinion that I think Zootopia, the first one, is untouchable, but Zootopia 2 is a worthy follow-up even if it's flawed. The biggest issue, if I were to call it that, maybe I shouldn't call it issue. The biggest thing that I observed about Zootopia 2 is the fact that I feel this movie is really similar to the first one. It tackles similar themes, it hits similar plot points, and it even has another twist villain. I guess Disney really took the advice, if it ain't broke, don't fix it too hard. However, the sequel still tackles the themes of oppression and discrimination from a different angle. So I appreciate the fact that they try to, give a different understanding in the ways that we have been oppressing or discriminating against minority groups, especially with the way that the movie talks specifically about how history is often rewritten to silence minority groups. It's such a real thing that's been happening in the real world. But even if I'm pointing out that they repeated plot beats or themes from the first Zootopia, it doesn't mean that I hate the sequel completely. I read all 20 Wimpy Kid books after all, so I'm used to kids franchises repeating themes and plot beats between installments. If I were to approach this review from the perspective of a child watching this movie, I still think I will have a lot of enjoyment from it, and I think the movie still has a lot of value because it's showing discrimination and the way that it manifests in different ways as well. Children deserves to, have good entertainment first of all, and it's important to do that so these kids can examine their own biases in the future. But overall, Zootopia is becoming Disney's go-to franchise to tackle themes of oppression and discrimination. And you know what? I'm on board. I am on board with that. Based on the stuff that I read on Reddit though, I know that a lot of people aren't particularly keen on Zootopia. They think it is incredibly flawed and that it doesn't work as a one-to-one allegory to real-world discrimination or racism. To that point, I would say that this movie is meant for young kids, and when you're making an allegory, it's quite hard to make things one-to-one to actual real-life equivalents. And I also think that with Zootopia, their intention is to make these themes and discussion digestible for kids and still entertaining as well. In that regard, I think the movie does a good job. The movie itself can serve as a starting point for the parents and the kids to talk about the film's themes and how it translates to real-world situations. Back to the sequel discussion, I do feel the sequel isn't as balanced as the first movie. I get the sense that they played up so much of the gags, the puns, and the slapstick. It's not as bad that I got taken out of the movie completely, but I also kind of expected something like this to happen because, you know, with sequels, they're always like, you know, bigger, better. And again, I already tempered my expectations, and for the most part, the movie met them. And like I said, Zootopia 2 is still a worthy follow-up to the first Zootopia. And I also think that the sequel does a really good job in expanding the world that I am excited to see a third one. But a little bit of a silly tangent, if I might say so myself. They really amped up the subtext between Nick and Judy in this one, didn't they? Actually, if you're above the age of like 10 or maybe 13, I think the subtext is just text.
Oh.
This is not your worst idea.
Wow, that was almost a compliment.
Your worst idea is what you did with your ears.
It's so funny because it feels like Judy and Nick are a couple in every sense of the word, except it's not official because they don't officially kiss and they don't officially say in the movie that they are dating. But the scene where they were like pouring their hearts out to each other, like that was intense. You guys were so intense. Look, I will be the first person to defend any platonic relationships, but I don't know, the chemistry was chemistrying in this one. It was up to 11. And I also feel like the chemistry is too good to not use, if you get what I mean. I just don't understand why Disney just doesn't let them get together. Is it because like he's a fox and then she's a bunny? Like, do we care? Do we actually care about these things? Are they so afraid of the implication of an interspecies romance? Because quite frankly, I never actually view these characters as animals. You know, let me explain. I feel in kids media, animal characters are never truly animals. The only reason animal characters often appear in kids cartoons, at least my impression of it, is because they're just more colorful and sometimes more fun to watch than humans. These animal characters capture the kids' attention more, and that's why we see a lot more non-human characters in kids shows. As an adult watching Bluey, I wouldn't even care if she's a human character, but kids are probably more inclined to watch the show because she's a dog and kids love animals and dogs. But even then, I think plenty of other adults also enjoy watching movies or watching shows with animal characters because they're overall just fun. People like having fun. Sue them, sue them, sue me. But at least like on my end, when I'm watching these kinds of movies or these kinds of shows, they're always so anthropomorphic to the point that I never really think about how they are animals. So I never think about the implications of Nick being a fox or Judy being a bunny, because more than anything, I feel like they're interracial couple coded to me. The only reason that I even think about the fact that Nick is a fox and Judy is a bunny is because of like the I Will Survive Zootopia fan comic. You guys should look it up. It's bonkers. And I read it actually because I'm like, what do you mean he wants to go to Arby's? But to that I say, do people actually care that they are different species? However, if I were to play devil's advocate with myself, which I often do because I'm an overthinker, there is this popular trope in cop shows, the will they won't they trope. Part of the appeal in watching these relationships is the push and pull. Bruce Willis, before he got famous, used to star in the show called Moonlighting, and in the show he is paired up with Sybil Shepherd, and both of them are private investigators who are partners and they're working on cases together. Part of the show's success is attributed to their tension, their push and pull, their relationship with each other. But when the characters officially got together in the show, a lot of people agreed that's when the show dipped in quality. So I wonder if Disney's refusal in getting Nick and Judy together, is that just Disney and the writers following along and parodying this trope? Who knows? Anyhow, I'm actually not sure how to do this segue. So segue.
Hey!
I think the biggest missed opportunity in Zootopia 2, first of all, is that it doesn't feature Gary the Snake as much. And I take offense to that because I am so biased. I love Quan, and Wayman is very famous in this household and he deserves everything. And I just want to see him more in stuff. And secondly, Paubert. I really think that he shouldn't have been a twist villain. When I saw Paubert helping Gary, I just knew that he was going to be a twist villain. It's also the knitwear because it's similar to the one that Chris Evans wear in Knives Out. Can you blame me for being suspicious? But I was also like, surely they wouldn't do the same thing twice. So in the theater, I was gaslighting myself into being like, no, they wouldn't do it. Especially with how many times Disney has pulled the twist villain angle. Lo and behold, he is a twist villain. I would love to say that I actually succeeded in seeing this coming, but I was actually pretty effective in gaslighting myself in the theater. But anyway, I think they shouldn't have done that. I think it would have been more interesting if Paubert was genuinely interested in helping Gary in the beginning, but then his family offers a chance for him to join them and be accepted as part of the pack, the family. But the only way to do that is to betray Gary and Judy. But I don't know, I think that would have been a more interesting way to approach Paubert as a character. It can show the audience how power and desire to belong can seduce even someone who has good intentions. It could also work very well with the themes of the movie. I don't know, I was surprised that this wasn't the angle that they went with. Not that I'm saying I know more than the Disney writers, but that would have been an interesting angle to take. I was talking about this to my friend, shout out to Jess, and Jess said the same thing as well, and that angle kind of reminds her of Zuko too. Shout out to one of the best series ever, Avatar: The Last Airbender, and that angle that they take with Zuko actually makes him one of the most compelling characters in children's media. So if I were the Zootopia writer, I would have done that instead. Add a little bit more complexity to this world, because this world is already so rich, and they could have pushed it even further, you know. Anyway, that's the end of this video. What a mess. I hope we enjoyed this journey. Have you seen Zootopia 2? If you have, what do you think? Do you agree with my points? I also want to know, do you guys ship Wild Hops? Because the Disneyland mascots, they sure love these two together. I wonder what's going on there. So depending on where you're looking at this, they might be helping or they might not be helping the fandom. All of that to say, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. The comments on my Wicked video were so good. Thank you so much guys for engaging in the discussion. It's really nice to hear what you guys think about the film and also what you guys think about Wizard of Oz and, you know, just storytelling in general. I love talking about film, TV, and theater. That's why I made this YouTube channel in the first place. So thank you so much for indulging me in those conversations. I really appreciate it. So if you can get a similar conversation in this video, that would be great. I just want to hear your thoughts about Zootopia overall. And also, segue again. I don't know how to segue well.
Hey!
I also want to say Merry Christmas to those who celebrate, and I hope you have a restful and happy break. I know December gets incredibly intense. I know it gets very intense and busy for myself. So I hope you guys have a good break. If you're watching this at any point during your Christmas or New Year's break, thank you so much for letting me be part of your holidays. If you like this video, please give it a like, comment, and share the video too. Overall, engage, please. Also consider subscribing to the channel too for future video essays, vlogs, or just, you know, fun and chill stuff. But apart from that, I'll see you guys next time. Happy holidays and goodbye!